Hey folks, how's it going? It's Mr. Murray coming to you with a little do now for Course 1 CP for Wednesday, May 27th, 2020. So, in this do now, I'm going to be providing you with some additional practice on expanding, so converting to standard form, as well as factoring, converting to intercept form. Please keep in mind, B period students, that you may find Miss Connity's strategy helpful, and I do encourage you to use that. It won't be discussed in this video, but if you get the same answer that I do, then it's completely fine. Again, you can use whatever strategy you want as long as it, one, is mathematically valid, two, you can explain to me what's going on so I can understand what you're thinking, and three, you get to the same answer. All right, I'm not going to force you to take one particular path. So again, what I want you to do here is pause the video, and now with the stuff we're doing, we know to look out for some special forms, right? So pause the video, convert the first to standard form, convert the next three to intercept form, and then when you're ready, unpause, and you can see what I got. All right, so before I do go ahead and move down and start solving this out, please remember that I am trying to provide a lot of extra practice for you guys because this is definitely difficult stuff. Please feel free to check out expand.willnot.fail for similar kinds of these problems. This one, I believe, though it says medium, I think this one actually may have been more of a hard problem. Okay, and for converting to intercept form, I chose an easy and two medium problems, as you can see here, and you can get more problems like this at factor.willnot.fail. The more practice you get, the better. And so because it's often difficult to give you a lot of variety on these kinds of worksheets, I try to, build these systems to not only give you immediate feedback, but also variety. And so I want to make sure that you take advantage of that, but it only works, right, if you actually go to the site. So please help me help you. All right. So convert to standard form. Here we go. So hopefully we need to recognize that this is in vertex form. So we're going to use our PEMDAS strategy, and that begins with the box. So I'm going to put not on the inside. Haha. I'm thinking factor mode. I'm going to put t plus 9 on the outside here and t plus 9 on the outside here. Remember, it's being squared, so we're taking t plus 9 and multiplying it by itself, because that's what it means to square anything. So t times t is t squared. 9 times t is 9t. 9 times t is 9t. 9 times 9 is 81. Now observe that a is more than 1 here, so I begin by rewriting. I'll drop my parenthesis. I now have t squared plus 18t plus 81 minus 1. Now I distribute, and I get 7t squared. Now again, please make sure you have access to a calculator. It can either be like Google Calculator, Desmos. You can even, at this point, you can just use any calculator. As long as it can add, subtract, multiply, and divide, you should be able to do the kind of stuff that we really need to do it with. And if not, I'll make sure to tell you if you need a specific type. But this kind of stuff, it's really the basic 4 operations. And that's one of the things that's so cool about it. So I multiply 7 and 18, and I get 126. And then I do 7 multiplied by 81, and that gets me 567. And then we got to do the 567 minus 1. So 7t squared minus 126t plus 566. And that is it, folks. All right, moving down to the next one, we're converting to intercept or factored form. So I'm going to start here by drawing my box, and I'm going to work backwards. So this is where the Miss Connity different strategy could come in. So I'm going to put q squared here and minus 11 here. And remember, my goal is I need these two things to multiply and give me q squared, and these two things to multiply and give me negative 11. So this needs to be q and q, because q times q is q squared, right? Because it's q multiplied by itself. And now I need to multiply to negative 11 and add to 10. So how could I do that? Well, in general, 11 could be 1 and 11, and that is basically it. So that's the good news. Now, I need a positive times a negative, because we know that a positive times a negative is a negative. And I'm going to choose 10 to be my positive. Ooh, but it's going to get a little bit trickier than that. Ooh. Yes, no, I am good. No, 10 is good. 10 is perfect. 11 is perfect. I'm sorry. I want 11 here because I need to multiply to 11, and I need 1 to be here. So I'm going to put that going to be a negative. That's going to give me 11q. It's going to give me negative 1q. So I get negative 11, or rather I get 11 times negative 1 is negative 11. 11 minus 1 is 10. And so now you write q plus 11, q minus 1. Folks, remember that the order in which you write the factors does not matter. If you wrote negative 1 up here and positive 11 down there, and you had these flipped around, or a combination of that, does not matter, because the order you multiply things doesn't affect the result. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so now I'm going to go down to a little bit trickier one. So this is a scenario where A is more than 1. And Miss C and I both agree that this is more or less guess and check. I'm just going to do a visual guess and check. So I'm going to do 4r squared minus 45. I'm going to put that there. And so now I know that I need a positive and a negative, because that's the only way you can multiply to get a negative. And 4 is going to be pretty challenging because I've actually got 2 ways to get it. I've got 2 and 2, 4 and 1. All right, so I'm not going to stress out, right? I'll just kind of stay relaxed and see what I can do. So I got 1 and 45. 3 goes into 45 15 times. 5 goes into 45 9 times. And that, believe it or not, is it. Because 6 doesn't go in, because 2 doesn't go in. 7 won't, because 7 is 42 and 49. 8 doesn't, and then 9, we're back around to the other side of the list, so we know we are done. All right, so I need to figure out, and this is going to basically be like guess and check. So I got to think about, 1, how can I make 4, and also how can I make 45, and also how can I get that sum, right? Because those 2 blank boxes here, they got to sum up to negative 24. Eesh. Okay, not easy. So I would be cautious about using 4 and 1. It might be right, but here's my concern. So let's say I use 4. If I multiply 4 by 45, 5, or 9, it's going to be difficult to get back to 24. So I'm going to try this approach, and it might be wrong. I honestly don't know. Keep in mind, I know these problems have answers, but I do sometimes intentionally not do them in advance so that I can approach them from the same perspective that you are. If I haven't seen it, then it's not like I'm going through it like I know everything, right? I'm trying to approach it as I've never seen this. Let's take it as if we're coming from the same perspective, right? So, all right, 2r and 2r, that's 4r squared. Now I need to get 45, and I'm going to be thinking about where am I going to put everything here? It's going to be challenging for sure. Now I do know one of these numbers is going to be positive and one of them is going to be negative. That is helpful to know. So let's start with 5 and 9. Can I make it work with 5 and 9? If I put a 9 here and a 5 here, no matter how I do it, like if this was 9, this would be negative 18 and 10. That wouldn't be anywhere close. This would be negative 10 and 18. That also wouldn't be anywhere close. Okay, so I'm not going to use that combo. That's okay. I got one. What about if I do negative 15 and positive 3? So this would be 6r, and this would be negative 30r. And there we go. So that's the thing, guys. You just have to take the time and just give it a shot and just plug in some numbers and know that if you can just list out these combinations, one of them will be correct. Now, I do feel for you. There are technically a total of at least 6 combinations. You could actually argue even more because sometimes it matters where you put the 4 and the 2 and or how you combine the numbers with them. But at the same time, as you continue to work through this, if you look at it and you actually take time to think through the problems as you do them, you're going to start to see patterns that help you find the right answer quickly by not doing the unlikely combinations until maybe a little bit later, right? So notice how I didn't start with, right? You could have done 4 and 1 and 1 and 45, right? We know that obviously wouldn't have been correct. But that would have taken you time to do, and it's unlikely you would have gotten anywhere close. So just think about the problems, build up that intuition, because if you give yourself a chance, you can really master this and really, really succeed at a high level. But you have to give yourself the chance to do it. All right? If you believe, you can achieve. So we got 2r plus 3 and 2r minus 15. All right, last one. I decided to close on a light note here. So again, we build our box, and we have x squared, and we have 16. So the first thing I notice is that this is a perfect square. It's 4 times 4, in addition to being 1 times 16. So I'm interested. I actually want to try the 4 first, especially because these is like an x and an x, so I don't have to worry about balancing the numbers like I had to do on the last one. So let's try 4 and 4 and see what happens. So this would be 4x and 4x. Perfect for 8x. So I have x plus 4, x plus 4, and the way we want to really write this is x plus 4 in parentheses squared. All right, so that brings us to the end of this one. Hopefully you're able to get these right. So basically, to break it down, we had our converting to standard form, and to do this, remember we had to do squaring that t plus 9, right? Doing the boxing out, distributing the 7, right, with the PEMDAS, and subtracting 1, and we got 7t squared plus 126t plus 566. For the first going to factored form, right, we just remember our principles here, right? We're trying to multiply to the negative 11. We're trying to get those two little boxes to add up to that middle term. And we're just playing around with combinations and developing that important number sense, right? All right, so we get q plus 10, q plus 11 rather, q minus 1. We get 2r plus 3, 2r minus 15. And we get x plus 4, or in other words, and this is how you should be writing it, x plus 4 squared. All right, folks, so just keep it up. Remember, we do have our hangout coming up, so if you have questions that you're thinking about, please take a moment and maybe write them down and think about bringing those up, because it's definitely a time for you. But best of luck. Don't forget to love math, and remember, you can do it.